We just got out of a flashback, but I still think we're due for another one very soon. And that, of course, is the backstory of the Humming Swordsman himself. Well, we already know about him and the Rumbar Pirates. Well, there is absolutely more to his story than just his adventures with the Rumbar Pirates. But to go into this one, I'm going to have to give you guys a spoiler alert up through Elbaf. If you haven't been reading the manga, then you might want to scroll on. I think that Brook in his early days was a holy knight. And of course, you know this theory stems from this moment we saw right here in the manga. But let's look at some of these older chapters with this new knowledge. Obviously, earlier in Elbaf, we saw Gunko listening to the Soul King's music, New World. Apparently, she listens to this all the time. It's like her post-meal ritual. And she just goes on to say that she likes doing it. But there's connection number one to Brook. Then once she's captured many of the Straw Hats, she comes straight up to Brook and says, "I'm gonna make you my slave. You're gonna make music for me for the rest of your life." Which also just reinforces the fact that she absolutely loves his music. We get this amazing moment between Brook and Gunko where he's talking about honor and how he would never betray Luffy because Luffy has granted him his second life. And I want to focus on this moment. Because much like Brook right now is dedicating his life to Luffy, the Holy Knights have dedicated their lives to Imu. They look at Imu as a god, the highest thing to aspire to. And by receiving the covenants, they devote their lives to Imu themselves. And I believe that that is something that Brook did in the earliest parts of his life. I think that much like Shanks, Brook was a Holy Knight but realized that he did not need to be in that situation. He more than likely only became a Blade of God and not a true Holy Knight, by only entering within a Shallows covenant and nothing deeper. But that would be how he has his connection to Gunko. With Brook's age and the very little we know about Gunko, it's very possible that he did know her when she was in fact a child. And she could have been the very thing that led him away from the Holy Knights in the first place. Him seeing the potential atrocities that they're willing to commit even with children. So Brook set out to sea, and he avoided them until he met his untimely death. And with the loss of his mortal body, he also lost the covenant that he had entered into. A covenant that always seems to be presented on the user's left arm. The same arm that Brook happens to have a hole in his sleeve in when we first meet him. I'm absolutely not saying this is definitive proof, but I do find it very interesting that that is the way we're introduced to Brook. And we know Oda and his foreshadowing. But to bring this all together, this panel obviously shows that Gunko knows Brook. And Brook also seems to recognize her. Because he literally says the resemblance is uncanny. And Gunko seemingly acts against Imu's wills in rushing towards Brook. And that, of course, is the moment that Imu takes over Gunko. And the story shifts directions. I do truly believe that Brook's music is going to be what brings Gunko out of this, and that more than likely will be what we can potentially get Imu off of Elbaf with, but either way, Brook has a lot of explaining to do. And since he once devoted his life to something evil, he's absolutely going to stand on honor in this life that Luffy has granted him, to make up for all of his sins. Let me know what you think in the comments and check me out in all the places.